Hey listeners, I just wanted to let you know real quick about a great event we have coming up, our Spring Executive Ethics Breakfast. This is going to happen on May 1st at Charles Schwab Field. This event is designed for leaders, owners, founders, board members, and executives who want to stay ahead of the curve on ethical leadership for their organizations. The topic, post-election ethics, keeping us up at night, featuring a local risk management officer sharing insights on navigating complex ethical challenges in this rapidly changing, highly politicized landscape. And I think you'll be impressed. Don't be scared from this because there's the word political in there. They do a great job of running these kinds of programs. It'll be wonderful for you to attend. It's sponsored by Coley Jessen, hosted by Mecca. You can get your ticket now at businessethicsAlliance.org/events. Use our code WALKTHETALK, all caps, no spaces, and you'll get a 15% discount for being a listener. There's still time to sponsor the event, so go to that same link I just mentioned. You can also find it in a link below in this podcast. Go there and let us know if your organization is interested. Welcome to Walk the Talk. I'm your host, Blake Peterson, and thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to introduce to you my guest, Willy Theisen. Now, Willy is best known as the founder of Godfather of Pizza, which he created right here in Omaha back in 1973. Under his leadership, Godfather's grew to nearly 1,000 locations, becoming the fastest growing pizza chain in the country at the time. And he tells this story, and I'll tell you what, man, you got to hear it. It's incredible how it just blew up from one location to a true just mega franchise so quickly. He also created Pitch Pizzeria, which is a posh artisan pizza, handcrafted cocktail spot. One of my wife's favorite places here in Omaha. We go there all the time. And it has since grown to not only be in Omaha, but also in Arizona. So Willy's story, it's based in pizza, but that's not where it really has continued, right? It's always been food related, but he's a lifelong entrepreneur whose career has been built on hard work, creativity, and bold ideas. From writing his first business plan on a napkin to helping shape Omaha's business landscape through investments, mentoring, and community leadership, he's also served on numerous boards, including Creighton University, the Omaha Airport Authority, Mecca, and our very own Business Ethics Alliance. He's been inducted into multiple Halls of Fame. He's recognized for his incredible contributions to business and the community as a whole. And even today, Willy continues to give back, speaking to students, mentoring entrepreneurs. And you know what? He's supporting causes that matter to him, and I think they matter to many people in Omaha. So I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And without further ado, here's Willy. Thank you for joining us here at Walk the Talk, Business Ethics Alliance. I'm your host, Blake Peterson, and with me today, we have a fantastic guest, longtime supporter of the Alliance, and I think a big reason why I wanted to ever get so involved with the Alliance is hearing you speak. Willy Theisen, thank you so much for joining me today, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. This is it's a good day. I'm excited about this meeting right here.
Well, I'm excited you even agreed to come on because I don't think you're much of a podcast listener or tune into that type of media yet.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
You're probably right. So there's my daughter's out in California. I told them what I was going to do, and it's cool, and they're cool, and they know all these things. So I thought, well, I'm doing the right thing. Everybody seems to want this to happen, including myself. So yes,
heck yeah, cool. We'll try to make sure we stay up to their standards. The California cool and Omaha cool are
exactly
two different things. But Willy, the whole thing that got us down the path where I really wanted to get you in here, and I pushed for Anne-Marie to try to connect us because I heard you talk with Bob Bates at Ethics Base. Now, it's been many years ago. It seems like yesterday, but gosh, time flies, about the ethics behind building a business to own legacy long-term or building it to sell. And I thought it was such an interesting conversation that you were kind of forced to almost take the build to sell side to debate Mr. Bates on that topic.
That was a debate, yes.
Yeah, and I don't know, I can't remember who won it. You guys both had great points on both sides.
Different opinions, but great points.
Yeah, great points. And so I think that could be where we start. You have obviously built and sold multiple businesses at this point, but during our first conversation, we met for coffee. You never really said when I started Godfathers to sell it someday for XYZ. That was never a piece of it when you started out.
No.
You started business plan. So build to own, build to sell. How did you approach building a business for your first time as an entrepreneur, and was that ever in your mind?
Well, I was so busy working. I thought if you worked most days and most nights, you could be successful if you had a good product. And it all happened. Everybody has a mentor that I hope they do, that they either look up to or share thoughts with. And when I came into town, I won't go through the whole story about how that all happened, but I was driving through Omaha. I wasn't stopping. I was on my way to the West Coast after leaving school. I didn't say graduating. I said leaving from Cedar Falls, Iowa, Northern Iowa University. I was in my mid-20s and had some car trouble, and that was kind of why I stopped. And that's where this all happened. Who'd have thunk that car trouble would lead me to the success that I've been blessed having? Applied for a job immediately after getting into town for a few days, and a guy named Tom Fellman at Thomas, he was building Thomasville Apartments, and so I arranged to meet him there, and I went there, and when I drove up in an old 61 Falcon, I looked over, there's a brand new Corvette Stingray parked kitty corner from where I was, under this overhang. Had a paper plate on it, so I kind of nosed over there and read it, Thomas H. Fellman. I go, I'm in the right place, man. This is it.
Yeah.
I go in, a little nervous, but not bad. I was thinking he would be 20, 30 years older than I. Turns out he's about a year and a half older.
Wow.
And so I said to myself, something's going on right here, and so I'm just going to blend it in. Well, that was my big start. And I still worked for him when I came up with the idea to open up the street, more apartments he was building. I just kind of I had no construction experience. I learned how to read blueprints, and I knew how to group people together and have small goals that we could all enjoy. And so the apartments went up. We did it together. And the space, I wasn't thinking about a chain. I was thinking about a link, one. And how it ended up, I would never have imagined. It started out with an SBA loan over at the Southwest Bank on 90th and Center. A guy named Joe Sullivan. And I walked in there and he lived in Thomasville. I rented him an apartment.
Yeah. And
so that's how I knew him. And I went over there, and I had, I think my business plan was on something like this.
Yeah.
This isn't it, but this is new. But So I talked to him a few minutes, and he said, what's your plan? So I passed something that size over to him, and he looked at it, turned it over, and he said, where's the rest of it? I go, that's it. And he stared at me, looked down, and he looked at me, he goes, I like it. It's simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Talked about the SBA. Back then, I kind of pretended I knew what the SBA was, but I didn't really know what it was. We're going to try to get you an SBA loan.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I find out it's a government loan. And he had someone help me fill out the forms, an accountant friend of his that also lived in Thomasville.
Yeah.
Seems like everybody lived in Thomasville.
Right.
So anyway, I go back. I get the loan. The loan was approved. And so I go in that day, and I parked out front, and I signed the paperwork, and that was 1973, early 73.
Man.
Can you guess, Blake, what I signed, what the interest rate was, just off the top of your head?
It's got to be in the teens at that point.
Well, it was over that.
Oh, man.
Jimmy Carter was president, the peanut farmer, and God rest his soul, lived to be I would like to get that same guarantee to be able to live as long as he did.
Definitely.
23.5%.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay?
Nuts.
And we're complaining about 5 or 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I signed him. I didn't read anything. I just signed him because I trusted him.
Yeah.
And got done with it. And he said, do you have any questions? I said, yeah, I'd like to know, when do I get the money? He said, today. He said, anything else? Yeah. I said, how much of it? $50,000 loan.
Yeah.
He looked at me and goes, all of it.
Wow.
I said, that's perfect. I stood up, he stood up, he grabbed my hand to shake goodbye. He kind of held on a little bit longer than I would normally have held on. And then he looked at me. His parting words, you're going to pay me, aren't you?
Yeah.
I go, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I left. And you know, when I got in the car, I had a commitment to him. I really owed him.
Right.
And what he did. And the bank, yeah, he was there. But I made a promise to him, a person. And I don't know if we do a lot of online things today, and they're done, you know, through the emails and things. But when I left, I go, I'm going to work. I'm going to work really hard. And it seems like the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about going to some casino and playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about doors open.
Right.
And people see what you're doing. And so that was nothing that I've ever started have I done to sell. But when the time and the opportunity comes there, you know, a few short years thereafter, 8 or 9 years after, I had 940 restaurants open.
Crazy.
77, 78, and 79, we opened 450 stores in 36 months. Wow. Now, I'll do the math.
Okay.
One every 60 hours.
Wow.
Fastest growing chain in the country for 3 years. Food chain.
It's just incredible.
It is. But we had 50 groups of franchisees that agreed on paper to open 3 a year. And
wow.
our genius model, that not knowing at the time, it wasn't a real estate play. We didn't build buildings. Mm-hmm. The people that invested with us and opened them, maybe they could dig up the money for one, and then that's it. Mm-hmm. We built out locations. We didn't build up locations. And shopping centers, it was quicker to get in, much more reasonably to do it. Enable them to do multi-franchise, multi-O locations. And so
right.
that's kind of the thick of the first, and to think it would be there, I never would have guessed. Yeah.
Who was it that came up with that franchise model? Was that you? Did you have a team of people?
Team of one, team of two. Yeah. We were partnered with one guy, Greg Johnson. He was kind of the pizza side. I partnered with him. He partnered with me.
Yeah.
And I bought him out after a little over a year. He had some different thoughts and things. I had some different thoughts, and he went and did what he wanted to do, and very successful, by the way, in Kansas City with Minsky's Pizza.
Oh, that's great.
Several locations. Great guy.
Yeah.
But then I guess we started to grow, and people started coming in and asked for a franchise.
Wow.
The first couple of deals were handshakes, not even any paperwork.
Right.
And I trusted these people because they wanted one really, and they were hard workers. The first 3 guys from Columbus, all mailmen. Well, they got to be honest. They're working for, Federal Post Office and U.S. Post Office, and so that was a start. Not saying yes to them would have been a huge mistake.
Right.
And I didn't say yes right away, but they kept coming in every Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. And
then if I said, we want one of these, come to Columbus, you'll love it. Well, I went to Columbus. I loved it. I could tell just by being there. And so we made a deal, and away we went.
It's awesome. It's a great story. And at the core of it is community and relationships, right? I mean, that's what really gets it kicking off in the right direction. And I hope that we are reverting back to more of that now.
It is the community. And Columbus is a city, and it's so underrated. But the people there are a great group of people, a thriving community. There's much wealth in that city.
Yeah.
And the others that we went to, but that one in particular, that was the right first franchise. Now, I had another store I opened in Lincoln, next to the university. Mm-hmm. Duh.
Yeah, obviously.
What the heck? Yeah. They like to eat, and they occasionally have a beer, college students. Mm-hmm. And then we just went from there.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think hopefully that more of that's coming back into play. But with your initial plan, I mean, you come out, you have this SBA loan, you realize now I got to make money, we got to get some revenue, we got to build a store. How does everything change once you become an employer, and now you have employees that are working these stores and you're responsible for them? How did that kind of evolve in you as the CEO and founder of this company?
That was also a good idea. Our business plan. First three fellows that started there at that restaurant were already succeeding in school, so they could get out a little bit early. We didn't have lunch then.
Mm-hmm.
Opened at 4:00. Well, these fellows got out 1:30. Okay, and this kind of counted toward their high school, whatever it was. It was a program, and we hired students. The majority of people that we hired were students.
Yeah,
and we told them, put the shirt on, tuck it in, button it up, comb your hair, brush your teeth.
Yeah,
get here on time.
Yeah,
that you gotta show up.
Yeah.
That's where it all starts. You gotta show up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have any friends, bring them in. I want to meet them.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll put them on. So it's more, people like to work with people they know.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, she's got a girlfriend, he's got a guy that he hangs out with. That's how we built 80%, 75 to 80% of all the people that I hired up until the time I left the chain were students.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of those were first-time job seekers.
That's great. Yeah.
A quick story coming through Fremont several years ago, down the highway, whatever that, Highway 6, whatever it's called. I get pulled over. Might have been 10 miles an hour or 15, I don't know.
Yeah.
Guy comes up, he's standing up above my car, and he said, ID, driver's license, insurance, proof of registration. Looks, Tyson, right? I go, I don't want to correct him, but I said, it's Theisen. He said, do you know Willy? and he's still standing up higher than him.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I think I know him pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
So I told him I was, so he comes down, he looks in the window, goes, oh gosh. He said, let me tell you a story. 3 blocks down here is the Fremont store. And he said, I want to thank you, because when I was in high school, I worked there for 3 years, delivering pizzas.
Wow.
Made a lot of money, and one of the best jobs I've ever had.
Wow.
And I didn't know what to say. Passes the stuff back. He's, have a good day.
Nice.
Let me go.
Yeah.
He let me go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that best job he's ever had. I mean, those kind of things I've heard actually throughout my life, people associate with him.
Yeah.
And so Godfather's was a great name, a great product.
Right.
We had a guy that was the Godfather. We did some slapstick commercials on TV, early start, and they came far and wide.
That's incredible, though. Those stories like that, I mean, that probably must just fill your cup tremendously, right?
You can't replace that. I mean, I was about to get a citation.
Yeah.
And now I figure this young man, this police officer, remembers the job he had. And probably his first job.
Right.
If he worked 3 years there, I guarantee that was his first job.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's tenure that you get.
Yes.
It speaks volumes to people enjoying it, getting a good culture. Even though it's a pizza joint, man, there still has to be a culture there. There has to be that piece built up. And you can't necessarily approach culture by saying, I'm building Godfathers because I can't wait to sell it one day. So now I need to create a culture around that, right? I mean, you must have been thinking long term with it always when you
I really was.
approach.
Yeah, I really was. And never in jillions of years would I have thought it would have grown as big as it did when I had it and then on afterwards. But again, back to the thing, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And that's exactly what happened to me.
100%. Well, how did you approach, obviously, when that time came, what prompted you to maybe even consider selling? Because didn't Godfathers at one point, did you mention they even IPO'd? Did they ever go to the public market? I mean, that's a huge... It's insane.
What happened is these are estimated dates. I don't have them down in stone. So we opened in September 73. And in, I think it was around 82, early 82, we went public with a stock. That put a value on our company. Publicly traded, over the counter. And then about a year later, a little over a year later, we got approached by a couple of organizations that were interested in looking at us because we were moving right along. Okay, they were watching us, and we were just making pizzas and doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And then we were approached by them, and they were also publicly traded, and so our stock was trading at 26 times earnings.
Wow, like a tech company. You guys were Apple back in the 80s.
We were the core, maybe, or the plum. Who knows? But yeah, and awesome. So we won't go through the whole transaction, but it ended up happening.
Yeah,
and I stayed on for a bit to kind of, finish some things we were in the process of, and then I walked away or wherever I did, and went on from there. And then over the course of time, I've done other things dealing with restaurants, Famous Dave's, Green Burrito out in California, Pitch.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs, and I think I call myself one. We didn't even know what the word did not exist 53 years ago.
Right.
I'll be 80 in May.
Yeah.
And we see things other people don't see.
Right.
And many examples, but I'll just give you one real quick. Dundee, 50th and Underwood. When Godfather was gone, I sold Famous Dave's. I'd sold Green Burrito. My dual concept, I dueled them with Carl's Jr. on the West Coast. We don't build. There was plenty. It was too expensive to build a building or even take a rental space.
Yeah.
Go inside something that's existing, which is what we did. And they end up buying Green Burrito from me.
Wow,
that
great.
was that one was kind of a build and sell.
Yeah,
but I bought the company when I got major majority holder well before any of that happened. But that was what it was designed for.
Right.
Pitch. So I'm in Dundee. I see this building. It's called a Model A building. Okay, now that'll tell you how long it was around.
Yeah.
Work downstairs. They sold cars out of there. Model A Fords.
Yep.
Live upstairs. European concept, doing that. So the first floor was vacant for lease signs on it. I find out it's been vacant 7 years. Nobody's taken a run at it. Dirt floor, windows are boarded up, it leaks, what have you. Few apartments upstairs. So I sat across the street on a park bench right in front of the subway over there. And the Pizza Hut to go was right there. Mm-hmm. And people came by walking dogs. I saw school buses stop. Kids got off from school. No honking horns. Nobody's yelling at each other, but just nice traffic flow. So I approached the owner. I said I want to do something here, and we negotiated a deal. I signed it, and they said, "When do you think you're going to open?" I said, "Probably going to be better part of a year." He said, "Willie, don't you know how to make pizza?" This is going to be built around pizza, but different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I said I gotta go forage. I gotta go out and find some real good pieces of things that I want to put like this. Mm-hmm. So I did. So it was about 9 months later, open Pitch, and a vacant, ignored. Everybody had seen this thing. Mm-hmm. Nobody took a stab at it.
Yeah.
What a stroke of good luck. Okay.
Yeah.
Opened. It had a vibe. You can't buy vibe. Mm-mm. They don't sell it anywhere. Mm-mm. You have to create it. Yeah. And that's what we did. And it was, and it still is, got the highest quality food, I think. Unique way of doing our food with a coal-fired oven. Yeah. Coal is not easy to work with, by the way. And put them in the right spot. And then some people came to me several years later, and they were interested in a franchise. I said, this is right here. This is where it's going to go, right here. Yeah. And so we negotiated. They said, we want to buy it. I said, well, I don't want to sell it, but if you would, what would it be? So I threw a number out there, and 45 days later, they owned it. Be careful what you wish for.
Right, no kidding.
Because you may get it.
Yeah, you just might end up out of a job, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just out, and I'm okay with that too.
Yeah. Well, you built something that's great, and I know I shared with you when I first moved to Omaha with my wife. That was one of the first restaurants we went to.
Really?
Pitch. And now I came from Denver, and I will say I think that Denver has got a great food scene.
Oh,
fantastic!
Major. Yeah. I'm very familiar with that.
You could throw Pitch right in the middle of Denver, and it would compete with any of them.
It really would.
It
really would. It's. I can't tell you how good it is, and we had great people that made a substantial amount of money working there.
Yeah.
We're open 7 days a week, 7 nights, 7 days, close a couple holidays.
Mm-hmm.
We were, whatever, what you really got one time, you get the next, okay?
Yeah.
It wasn't going to change. It was going to be as good as it was. I got a couple ideas from a couple places in Arizona, a couple in Jersey, one in the Bronx, one in Florida, and just kind of put them all together.
It's cool. It is great. And I think that it's a perfect segue to kind of what I wanted to talk about next is you've put your heart and soul and your blood, sweat, and tears, I'd maybe say your hard work into these companies that then you sell. And obviously you care about these employees.
I do.
You care about this culture you made. How did you handle that process of the sale and making sure you felt like they were taken care of post-sale?
Well, let's just talk about Pitch first.
Yeah.
We talked about that. The people that wanted it, we talked about that. I said, if you want to change a bunch of stuff, this probably isn't the store or the concept you want. Mm. So, and they sort of gave me their word. I mean, there was nothing in writing, whatever. Yeah, we're not buying it to change. We're going to add a few, which they did. Another one in Omaha, and they've got I think 3 now in Arizona, Phoenix, Scottsdale area.
Cool.
They're good operators. One of the people that worked with me at that time was in the buying group, and so the philosophy transferred to that. And I mean, they've expanded the menu, but the core items have not disappeared.
Right.
They've added to, but haven't subtracted much or anything. Mm-hmm. And that's really, I feel good about that. It's one of my favorite places, by the way.
Yeah.
And you can't beat the meatballs.
No, definitely, man.
No. And we came up with a recipe, and it's never changed.
Love it.
It used to be 2 5-ounces when we first opened, 2 big 5-ounces.
Yeah.
Then we talked, and to share that, if you have 3 or 4 people, you cut into it, and you may have had that fork in your mouth. There was a spoon, but so I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 5 2-ouncers instead of 2 5-ouncers.
There you go.
Perfect. A clean swipe on your plate. Take one instead of double dipping.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And they are, without a doubt, some of the best you're going to find.
Yeah. Got to go try them if you haven't. Get in there and give them a shot.
I'm getting hungry right now, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my chops.
Yeah. So you told them, of course, we don't change the theme of the restaurant. How did you communicate to the employees that you were going to be making this transition? Was that something you felt was important to do and they heard from you? Yeah.
We had a tight-knit group, very tight-knit team. It was a team. Mm-hmm. And just gave them the assurances that the ones that I got and I believed, I shared with them, and they all of them stayed, but the majority, very few left. Mm-hmm. I wasn't, it wasn't doing as much business because of me. Right. I mean, I could step aside and, they came in, they left, they worked, they left. It had that vibe. We go back to vibe. Yeah. Great food, great service, but something was going on. There's something going on here. Yeah. And we enjoyed that success together.
Do you think you had the similar assurances, and did they execute the same way with Godfathers? Did that culture of the hiring youth stay intact?
It was simple. It was so simple.
Yeah.
You can, when you start multiplying fractions, I'm fairly good at math. Mm-hmm. You can't multiply fractions. You get too much. The least amount of things and decisions they had to make. The simplicity of Godfathers was genius, because you could teach somebody, you could teach almost anybody how to run one of these things. It's very simple. Here's our order guide. Here's the products that go in. Here's the PAR system. You need 10 bags of this. When you get down to 3 or 4, you got to order 5 or 6 more. Our food suppliers.
Yeah.
Ancona at the time was here. They took care of us. They knew us. All the suppliers that we had, and we transferred that to the other areas we were in with the same products. We used the same sausage people, the same tomato for umpteen years. It didn't have any fractions whatsoever.
Yeah.
And people that had I'd ask people, you got any restaurant experience? Perfect.
Yeah.
The second question, can you dig up $15,000 franchise fee? I think we're going to do some business here.
Yeah.
And that was, and you could judge when you could see somebody that was going to make a difference and somebody that wasn't. And I credit a lot to the people that came to us for a franchise. We never advertised. The stores advertised themselves, really.
Yeah.
And we had some commercials and what have you, but people took notice of it. I mean, we caught their attention. And then how are you going to beat a 5-pound combination large pizza with all the good quality things on top?
Yeah.
We weren't skimpy with our portions. They were very generous.
Right.
And that got us the loyalty over the years.
Absolutely. Stick with it and simplicity, right?
Yeah, we're not going to do desserts.
Yeah.
We're not going to do slices. We'll do mini, but here's the moneymaker, right? See this right here? Yeah. Bigger than my head, and that's pretty big. That's the pizza. That's what everybody was looking for, and people loved it.
Yeah,
and they still do.
Still do, absolutely. And do you think they've kind of maintained a similar hiring process? I mean, now it's a little different with the
COVID's changed, but this was, they've had several years to adapt to situations.
Yeah.
The people I see in the stores, everybody's doing what they should do, and they've not added a ton of things. They've improved some things. Yeah. But it's pretty much the same core menu.
Yeah, it's also beautiful that you mentioned with Pitch, it was making money without you there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing I try to preach to my clients, the business owners. I'm like, look, you're selling right now. You're trying to sell a job because you're there all the time doing everything. You can't sell a job. No, jobs. Value behind that.
Well, we say now comb your hair and brush your teeth. Yeah. If we said that today, we'd be probably in trouble. So we get a letter from some attorney. You can't say that.
You could.
But back, it was just getting you ready, you know, and bring a friend in. Work with a friend. Yeah. And when you're not working, you can come in here and you can hang out. We had video games.
Oh, cool.
Pong and Pac-Man and what have you.
Yeah.
You come in for an hour or so. You're going to hang out here all night. You come in with a couple of people.
Yeah.
They drop them off because they weren't sometimes old enough to drive. Parents would pick them up. They come in and get a pizza and pick them up. It was a cool place to hang out.
Yeah.
And a safe place, which is also very important.
Definitely. And all of this has provided you with, obviously, the means, not just monetarily, but from your time. Your time has been freed up. But you're still a very busy guy because you're involved in so many projects. It's hard to get on your calendar, Willie. I'm telling you that, man.
I didn't bring my day planner from last year. Yeah. But it's got several days in every single month. There's a hashtag through it. I keep busy. I've got charities like the nonprofits like the Salvation Army. Yeah. Is the two I'm currently involved with, Salvation Army and RISE, which is a program, a local program for incarcerated individuals. We go in, we do programming prior to their release. We do classes, we do resume building things. We have contests with ideas. And it's Jeremy Bowman is the CEO of that. He used to be at Creighton for quite some time. Great guy, and real. Whatever he tells you, that is exactly the way it is. There's no fluff or what have you. And he's got men of character, person of character.
Yeah.
And so I'm involved with that. And we had Trio Lights. We had a record year here. They had that crazy idea, where in the world is Willie? Yeah. Todd Andrews from the Salvation Army came up with that. We posted every week. I was all over town. We took the pictures all in one day and then posted them along the way, and it was quite a successful, with other things, campaign. It took a lot of time. Mm-hmm. I was tired when we got done. I was worn. I ranked, my arm is just now iced down to, I could do this instead of I wake up in the middle of the night, my hand would be going like this from the
ring
bell.
of the bell, just having tremors come back.
I grab it and put it down, but it's those things were very important to me. So I spent a lot of time with that and many other nonprofits.
But it gives back. I mean, you shared a story with me, for instance, about Thanksgiving and how there was a freezer issue that happened, and we almost didn't have Thanksgiving dinner to serve all these people. And maybe can you talk a little bit about how you were in restaurants, you know food, nobody knows food better than Willy, and now you're using it to help feed people who otherwise wouldn't have a Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, I'm involved with North Core, which is on 24th and Pratt, right up from Heart Ministries. And it's a 78-year-old building, Salvation Army. Before I got involved with them, they had a campaign. They raised the funds to totally revamp it and build an adjacent building equal to or a little bit bigger than what it is. For everything's kind of shifting, but we're still working out of a kitchen that is no bigger than this room.
Crazy.
So we have events of feeding, but we had one coming up was called Turkey Fest. So I went up there, 10 days before, and I go there once or twice a week, but I was up about 10 days before, and Lieutenant Marcia I was talking to, and I said, we all set for Turkey Fest? And she said, well, we are, but, and I said, we have the turkeys in the freezer, right? Because I knew they were there. Yeah, but she said, we lost the freezer about a week ago, and it all spoiled.
Oh, man.
And so I said, we can't have Turkey Fest without turkey. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. It's a Friday. If anybody asks you about that, you just tell them Willy, he's our new turkey guy, and I'll go out and hunt some turkeys. So I head to Hy-Vee, go back to the meat department, got the meat manager, and they had honeysuckle and butterball and the Hy-Vee brand. Well, the Hy-Vee ones, we need 300 pounds. They were the biggest, 25-plus pounders. So I told him a story. He said, well, we donate nationally, and so we don't do, he said, if you want them, you got to buy them. I said, okay. He said, go to the front, he says, and get 2 carts, push them, lock them up and push back. He helped me. He loaded my carts. He walked up with me. He got me through the checkout. They got paid for. And I said, can you put them in my vehicle? He said, yeah. So we got them out there, and I went right to the North Core, and there was a couple folks up there in Marcia, and Lieutenant Marcia, and we put them in. And they put a padlock on. We got a new. We serviced it, but we got a new compressor for that thing. Eventually, that next week, but yeah, and we did it. Yeah, we did it, and it took us 3 days, I think, to get ready for it because our ovens weren't big enough, and one didn't work at all to get it all ready. But we got them all done, and 265 people that day came up, and I can't explain. I've never gone to sleep hungry. Oh. I don't know the feeling. It's got to be pretty sad, okay? And it's got to, But I'll tell you what, just that one, they had there's a chapel portion of this because a faith-based Salvation Army, and we're not there just to throw food. We're not doing it. We got to feed the soul a little bit too. Come on,
yeah.
And we do that. We have all kinds of services, and so our new kitchen area, which I helped design and equip, it's going to open in August, and then the rest of it will be all done the following year. You drive by, you can see what's going on now, the gym, new chapel, counseling, food bank stuff, disaster. We're going to have a dock we pull a truck up to and load for disaster relief, like the tornado this year.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, we've got all that, and I'm happy to be involved with those people. They really they do the right thing, and I'm about food.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
a sucker for people that are hungry.
Yeah.
And I've been that way all my life. And it makes me feel really good to help them out and to make their day good at least, you know?
Yeah.
And then go from there and get up and try to do something the next day with them. So
Absolutely. I think it's kind of a beautiful, like, just, character arc almost for you, right? Really, on who you started working with and how things go in the middle, and now to know this is where you're at, where really it's just upward trajectory. You're probably making bigger impact now than you ever had, even when taking a company public.
yeah,
right?
they
I
don't, in the nonprofit side, we don't judge. They don't judge. We don't judge. And we're there because we want to be, and they're there sometimes because they need things, and we're there to provide the basics.
Yeah.
And really, you walk out and go, man, am I blessed, and get in the car and drive away. But they're on my mind a lot, and ringing the bell was great. People come up and razz me, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Enough with the talk. Put something in the bell box over here, okay?
That's right. Yeah.
And so they roast me, I roast them, and it works.
That's great, man. It's awesome. And I think that all of that was made possible by building and selling. And some people may have, like, I don't know. I think that the stories you hear about companies that sell, you really hear more about the bad tales than the good. And there's actually a lot more good tales than there are bad. It's just who's loudest in the room.
Well, there's something, when I moved here, there's something special about Omaha.
Yeah.
And where it is, the old saying, there's something in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe there's something in the water. We have such a sharing, thriving work culture. And if people need help, there's places to find it. Get ideas, to share ideas. There's programming, there's this, there's that, and a lot of big things. Or you look back and we look at the airport. I got on the board. I didn't even, Mayor, oh gosh. I'm thinking too much ahead of time. I'll figure it out. Mike Boyle called me down to the mayor's office, and I was, I think I was 36 or 37 after I done Godfathers, and he said, Willie, I think it's time for you to do some public service. I go, great. He goes, I'm going to appoint you to the Airport Authority. I go, great. So we went through it all, and I said, Mike, can I just ask you one question? What's public service? I didn't know that was, because I had never done anything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, you're pretty smart, I think. You'll figure it out. And after a couple of meetings, I had it figured out.
Yeah.
I've been on and off. I have about 17 years on that board by 3 different mayors that appointed me.
It's just cool, though. And I think it's important, props to the mayors for identifying the people who can come in and make action happen, because that's where there's a disconnect between the business world and the government world oftentimes. And even the nonprofit world sometimes is action.
Definitely.
Right? And so how do you feel like, that portion of what you're doing now with the airport, the commission, and on that board, and everything you're doing with the mayor currently, how do you feel like is your impact on Omaha? Was that ever important to you when you're considering being on the board?
I flew in and out of Omaha on a plane that we got after we couldn't get where we're going and get back. We were doing so much, so we got our first airplane. Of course, I went to the bank that gave me that loan. I said, I'm buying an airplane. The guy looked at me like I had Joe South.
Yeah.
He was at the U.S. Bank then. You're kidding, a what? I said, an airplane. Okay, so, we don't really, I got to go to Minneapolis, his home office in Minneapolis with the U.S.
Yeah.
I got to go up there to do something like this. We just don't finance airplanes. I said, well, I'm getting it down Duncan Aviation down in Lincoln in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's a Beechcraft.
Can't SBA loan that one.
No. He said, well, I'll check. Call me. He says, they're going to do it. They said, okay. I go,
sweet.
So I flew in and out of Epley. I flew, actually, those 3 years, between 500 and 600 hours a year.
Wow. That's incredible.
And so I had, an opportunity, and we never didn't land. They got us in.
Yeah. Right.
We just, there was sometimes good conditions, sometimes not so good. But yeah, 13 years ago, I was on that particular board, and we did the feasibility study on what's happening today. And hold on to your hats, because in 3 years from right now, you're going to be, or 2.5 years, let's hope. Yeah. It's like a root canal. It hurts when you're doing it, but the end result is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a 30-year decision, and that's in play right now, and almost $1 billion investment. And so that covered front drive was added to and thought of quite, we won't heat it. It won't be totally closed, but it's protection. You get out of a car in the wintertime or when it's raining, and you're not going to have puddles or ice or snow or anything in there. So, I'm pretty proud of it. And it's leadership. We have a mayor's race going on right now. I think a month from right now is the primary, and a month from then will be the general election, and we'll know who and what and where by then. It comes to the leadership, though. Like Jean Stothert, I got to tell you, she's a doer, and you don't get 3 terms and run for a 4th without doing a lot of things right. Yeah. But she surrounded herself with Tom Warren, chief of staff, former chief of police, retired.
Yeah.
You got Todd Schmatter and Douglas County Sheriff Aaron Hansen. They're right picks, very, very much right picks. I've worked with the mayor for many years on different projects, and it's been an honor, a total honor to contribute to those ideas and to see those things come to fruition. And it's all about how we can make things better. That's it. And that's important to me. And I look up to all those people and others in her administration. What can I say? I think I've said it.
Yeah, absolutely. Who
do you think I'm voting for?
Yeah, maybe Jean Stothert.
There you go. And they're all good. They're all fine.
Yeah,
but I am. Yeah, I really am.
That's good. Hey, I mean, I'm not the most politically involved person, but
neither am I.
She runs. Our budget has stayed in the black, right?
Yes.
And I mean, I think that's an important piece. Why was Godfather's trading at 26 times earnings?
It's ridiculous.
Because you guys were, but you were making revenue, baby. You know what I mean?
If you look at Restaurant Institutions Magazine, way back those 3 years, top net profit, 1, 2, or 3 in the whole country.
Yeah.
Okay, we're working hard.
Yeah.
And we're working smart.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's what produced the enormous revenues for that particular company at that time.
It's incredible. I mean, I think that now the interest rates that you mentioned earlier are forcing companies to move back in that direction. Now, many private companies have always had to live in that sphere anyway, because you're private and there's not just investors' money available everywhere, but even public companies now, it's like, we need to be making a profit.
Yes, and that was already the plan, but it didn't even look like it. It just looked like a natural thing to keep going, and it was very profitable. Yeah. But we had a very simple plan, no fractions to multiply. Yeah. It was just, here what it is. When you do another one, you're going to do the same thing. Right. And I remember when those fellas opened up in Columbus, I drove up there and I called, they were so swamped, I called my guy that was running Lincoln. I said, his name was Bill Jellis, and I said, Jello, go pack a bag and get up here by tomorrow morning. He said, to do what? I said, you walk in, go to the kitchen, and don't come out for a week, okay? Yeah. And let's sleep. He said, okay, got it. Met him back up there. It was gangbusters. It was like a gold rush. Yeah. We got to get there. We got to start digging. And they did what they said. I said, if you guys play golf, you're going to have to put those clubs in storage because you're not going to be golfers for a while. You'll be here. Yeah. And they agreed. Yeah. They agreed, and it worked, Yeah, it worked absolutely. Extremely well.
Yeah, and hey, congratulations to you, Willie. Thank you for not only taking your time to be here on the podcast, but everything you do for the Omaha community now. and obviously along your way. I mean, it's huge impact.
Well, drive around the city and count the cranes, and not the cranes going to nest out in western Nebraska along the Niobrara or wherever that is.
Yeah.
Look at the building cranes. Look at Blackstone.
Yeah.
Look at the Med Center.
Mm-hmm.
Nodo right here. Look at the apartments. And what we're doing, I got to mention, do we have time to talk about the streetcar for a minute?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm from a railroad family. Both my grandparents, railroad. My parent, Chicago Northwestern, railroaders all their lives. Mm-hmm. One job. Go in, do what you're supposed to do, and come home and go in and do the next thing. My dad never got sick, never missed work. He taught us, by the way, Blake, work still works.
Yep.
But look around the city on the development side of it. The streetcar, and controversial, but what it really is, don't look at it as a mode of transportation, okay? Mm-hmm. It's like it's a very short ride, about 3 miles, I think, total. Goes back to the same place.
Yeah. Economic
fence. And along each side of that, all the way around, and many projects have announced the reason, Mutual Omaha Tower. Mm-hmm. I saw it. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't be here without the streetcar's not here. We're not here. Mm-hmm. New Style Development, who took those twin towers, 18% occupied by office. I'll put 700 units here. He's going to do the same thing. Todd and Mary, they're going to do the same thing at First National. Not First National. Yeah, First National, the old tower. Yeah. That's going apartments.
Wow.
St. Joe's Hospital, they put 650 or 700 apartments. Creighton, then they build a bridge right over to the campus.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Repurposing is, and the things that are happening, go back to counting the cranes, and this particular fence, the economic fence they put up, no one, if you get Ollie the trolley, that's a party bus.
Yeah.
Don't compare those.
Right.
A commitment is rail in the ground. Rail in the ground. Rail's not coming up. If they have a map bus, well, just put a map bus, do the same thing, see what happens. Same thing.
Yeah.
That's the same, because with a computer, I don't know what, but you can change that route just with one button.
Right.
It'll move over. Hey, I put this big hotel up, or I've got this apartment complex, or I've done that. So you got to fill the donut hole, or the hole gets bigger.
Right.
You've got to go vertical. You can't have parking lots. That's it's got to go this way. Density.
Yeah.
And you have to make some commitments. And if you understand TIF, I don't know how many times people have explained it to me. I think I get it. You got to have that, and that, there's a price to pay to be successful.
Right.
And you don't just, you've got to have that commitment, and it's going to happen. It's going to be great. Just since it was announced, just the amount of projects and the $1 billion plus commitments so already.
Right.
And we have not even seen one streetcar go one block. It'll be a while.
Right.
But it takes a while.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And it's like, it's got to hurt with the construction, with the blockages and all things going on, but they're redoing sewers, they're redoing gas and water lines. A lot. When you go down there, you don't just put some rails in. Okay, you got to do all the infrastructure so they can support whether it's a bridge or whether it's a street or whatever it is. And I'm a firm believer we're doing the right thing here, and people will understand as time goes along and see the results of that.
Yeah, that's interesting the way that you pose how to think about it as well. I mean, that it's almost that I can have a commitment because I know I put people here, they can get to the places they want to go, and it's also maybe increasing accessibility to certain parts of the city, right? And that's an important piece to driving more traffic to my store or whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's going to do that, and along the route, then the core won't get the hole won't get bigger.
Yeah,
it then will now tighten up. If we do everything out west, you got this. It doesn't get any smaller. It just the hole gets bigger.
Right.
And it's how about that park system we have now down there? How about the generosity of the donors that have put $350 or $400 million into those 3 parks.
Beautiful, too.
And they're maintained. Mecca.
Yeah.
Another great organization. I was on their board.
Yeah.
You know, they're managing it and housekeeping it and securing it and patrolling. That was a smart. Don't just build it and let it. It's not going to run itself.
Yeah.
It's not going to clean itself. It's not going to manage itself.
Right.
That was, I think, a great decision, whoever made it.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be working quite well. And, you know, the streetcar can go north, can go south, and may even go over to Council Bluffs. Many are talking about that. Mayor of Council Bluffs, there'll be a pedestrian and a streetcar bridge over, and talk of it going from the Med Center, about the Med Center, over to Jenny Edmondson.
Oh, okay.
There's a deserted rail line right off Broadway. It's not going to go down Broadway. It's a block or two next to Broadway.
Yeah.
It would run right all the way over there. And that's a long time.
Yeah.
I hope to be around when it happens.
Definitely.
But it, you know, North Omaha, South Omaha, the zoo,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And
Right.
it will, and one last, I think I'll probably be around when it goes to the airport.
Heck yeah.
How nice would that be?
Wonderful.
Yeah. It's, 2 stop signs from Epley. We're spoiled.
Yeah.
It's in our backyard. You get Charles Schwab, you got the Mecca thing, you got all kinds of stuff. We really have it pretty good.
100%. And I think from personal experience in Denver, I mean, I lived there when they
I
put
know.
in the rail car, and that system started very small.
Yes.
Everybody complained. Everybody's like, this is pointless. Why are we doing this? It's not getting you anywhere. Now it goes go to Boulder.
They
it goes
turned
to the
that into a
airport.
light rail.
Yeah, the
which
light
is-
rail is just incredible.
I mean, it really is. And same with Scottsdale. They
Yeah.
had a light rail, but then there was a few tight areas, and I've been on it. I went
Yeah.
out there the first week it was open.
Yeah.
And they make these turns. It goes by the university,
Yeah.
ASU, and they have bike racks in the front. All the students put them on. I've been on there when this happened.
Yeah.
They stop, they take them off, away they drive. I mean, and it just snakes through a part that it wouldn't have. It's not light rail. It is actually the streetcar.
Yeah.
It's not a speedy thing,
Right.
but it gets right where you want to go. And
Yeah.
it developed around that, and everything kind of encompasses that. And
Yeah.
hopefully we're there.
Definitely. The future's bright.
I'm very optimistic on the future.
That's good. Well, you've probably always been an optimistic guy. I think I am too. So happy to be there with you, Willie. Thank you very much
you.
for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Blake.
Yeah. Hope to see you at Ethics Space. You're going to be there?
I'll be there 6 hours. It's next week. It's
All
that
right.
week from
a week from today. Is today Thursday?
today Wednesday or Thursday?
I
One
think
of the
today's
two.
Thursday. I have to ask my wife. I don't
But
know
yeah,
anymore.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
It starts at 8,
Mm-hmm.
over at 2.
Yeah.
I've done those before. And you know what you still got to do? You got to show up.
Yeah, you got to
You
show
can't
up.
complain about stuff.
Yeah.
What somebody else did or didn't do.
Yeah.
You got to show up. And I will
100%.
be there, and I will stay till it's over at the end
Love it.
at 2 o'clock.
We'll see you there, Willie. Thanks,
Alrighty.
man. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Blake.
This is great. Thanks, Willie. Your first podcast. You did it.